Can you see my nipples through this t-shirt? Okay, we're on. Welcome everybody. It's Mark William Margerson coming to you once again live from our nation's great capital of London, along with
Keith David Wilson Singer Jr. coming to you live from Tokyo. Well, just outside Tokyo.
Yes, that's right.
Well, you threw in the mid-name. You threw in the middle name there, so I thought I would as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and let's get cracking on another fantastic tournament that we call Lights Camera Quiz. Okay, so first round as always is general trivia, but before we do that, Keith, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Actually, very, very, very sleepy. Not because of a food coma this time, may I point out.
Oh, okay.
Just sleepy, just because I don't know why. It was a slow day, and yeah. How about you? How are you doing?
Not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. It's been weird here because lockdown's pretty much ended, and pubs and restaurants and everything are open again, which I think is the same in Japan. Yeah.
They never closed here.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's right. So,
yeah.
But we haven't been out
that
yet.
said, because they're still trying to do the whole social distancing thing, so in Tokyo and Osaka, they now have izakayas, which is like a Japanese pub, where they have little, basically like a little booth where you can sit there and you get a private space where you get your beer and your food and everything, so you can have online drinking parties basically. So the idea being that people are doing this all over the place in different pubs, but you're sitting at a table by yourself with a tablet in front of you, and you're
That's actually quite a nice idea.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Wow, only in Japan.
Implement that in England. There you go. So how about you? Are you going to go for dinner?
Well, actually, funny enough, I did say to the wife, I said, do you want to go out for dinner this evening? She was like, oh, that'd be lovely. And I was like, yeah, because I've got the lads coming over, so it's kind of awkward when you're here. So if you don't mind, make yourself scarce. She got a bit of a strop about that for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Anyway, let's jump straight into general trivia. This week's general trivia, because we were talking about pubs and restaurants and everything going back to normal, I thought I'd do a bit of a sort of bar-pub theme for the general trivia. Okay, so it's fairly simple. 5 questions. Write your answers down, Keith.
Yeah.
Okay, just remember the answers. Okay, so number 1. If you were having a pint in the Slaughtered Lamb pub, which film would you be in? The Slaughtered Lamb.
Sugi.
Okay. Right. Okay, so number 2. In the film The Blues Brothers, the guys go to a bar called Bob's Country Bunker, I believe. It's, remember the one where they have all the netting up on the stage, the wire to protect the band. Anyway, when they get there, they say to the owner, what kind of music do you usually have here? She says, we have both kinds. What are the 2 kinds that they have? We have both kinds.
I'm guessing it's not going to be hip and hop.
No. Hip and hop. Who says that? Grandad. Okay, number 4. This should be an easy one. In the film Shaun of the Dead, what's the name of the pub they all hide out in?
I know this one.
Because remember they say, let's go to the pub, have a pint, wait for it all to blow over. In Kill Bill, Volume 1, the character of the bride has her epic showdown against the Crazy 88 and Oren Ishii in a bar/restaurant called the House of What Leaves?
Is that what it's called? The House of What Leaves?
It's the House of What Leaves. Yeah. Leaves as in on a tree. It's a colour. The House of Leaves. What leaves? In fact, was that in Tokyo?
So it's based on a restaurant which is set in Tokyo.
Okay.
But that wasn't filmed there. Real place name, so funnily enough, not sure about the answer to your question, but I remember the real name is Gonpachi, I think is the name of the restaurant.
just go through them again. If you're in The Slaughtered Lamb, which film would you be in? In The Blues Brothers, when they get to the bar, she says, we have both kinds of music. What are the kinds of music? What pub do they sit and drink in Shaun of the Dead? And what is the name of the bar, restaurant where they have the epic showdown in Kill Bill? Answer time. Time for the answer.
All right.
Okay. Confident?
No. I think I've got maybe half. Which means I have to get a half point in there because there were 5 questions, so 2.5.
Okay. So, number 1, if you were drinking at the Slaughtered Lamb pub, which film would you be in?
A scary one.
Yes.
Because that's a scary name.
It is.
It sounds... I don't know.
It's in England.
It's in England. England, horror movie, presumably. Or something funny, perhaps. Like one of the Cornetto trilogies. No. I don't know.
No.
Put me out my misery.
Okay, it's American Werewolf in London.
Ah, right.
Yeah,
Right.
the John Landis film. Funny enough, actually, for some reason, I was walking through, I can't remember, it's somewhere in Manhattan, and there's a Slaughtered Lamb pub
really?
there. And it's the exact same sign, the same sort of
And
pictures and
inside
everything
it, they
outside.
tried to make it look like it?
No, not really, but I went in
Put some
and
effort
had
in.
a beer, obviously. Couldn't walk past there and not go in. And I said to the guy, this is so awesome, and he was just like, why? And I went, well, because American Werewolf in London, it's the pub. It's the exact same picture and everything. He didn't know that.
Wow.
So which I thought was a bit strange.
Wow.
Anyway, number 2, in the Blues Brothers, they go to Bob's Country Bunker. They ask her what kind of music they play, and she says...
Country and Western.
That's exactly right, yes.
What kind of music do you usually have here?
Oh, we got both kinds. We got country and western.
So you could have gone for rock and roll
Yeah.
as well, can you? R and B.
Yeah.
But no,
or
it's country
hip,
and
hip
western.
and hop.
Hip and hop, yes. Okay, to the next one. What was the name of the pub in Shaun of the Dead?
So I'm not 100% sure on this one, but the Winchester, kind of like the gun.
It is the Winchester.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over.
The reason I remember is because Winchester's a rifle and James Stewart, all 2 first names, did the film Winchester 73 about the Winchester.
Again. Yeah. No, that's why I remembered it, because I was like, it's like the gun. That's the only. I think that's the only reason why I remember it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Number 5. In Kill Bill, they have the showdown with the Crazy 88 and Oren Ishii. It was called The House of What Leaves?
I don't know. I'm gonna take a stab at red because a lot of blood gets spilled there. Also, in Japan, they really love autumn, red leaves. You are shaking your head. Can I change my mind?
No, blue. The House of Blue Leaves. I mean, I've never seen a blue leaf, so I would have gone with green or maybe brown. But it's the House of Blue Leaves. Because don't they have that thing? What are the trees in Japan that blossom for like 1 week
Oh,
of
you
the
mean
year?
the sakura, the cherry blossoms?
That's the one, cherry
Yeah,
blossoms. I didn't get the first
they're
name. Yeah.
amazing. If you ever get a chance to see them, honestly, you should do it. But it's super hard to time because they're only there for 1 to 2 weeks, and the 1 to 2 weeks can vary by a month. So, you like I know people who have like been booking flights deliberately to come over and see them for like multiple years, and they miss it every time.
I won't do that. Just send me a picture of them, Keith.
Right, I've got thousands of them.
That's fine.
Funny enough, speaking of Kill Bill, I just asked my girlfriend the other day to recommend some bands, like Japanese bands that I might like, and she recommended this guy Hote something, can't remember his name. So I went on Spotify, just typed his name in, and I was just like, I don't know, what's he done? And I just went to the bit, where it says popular, and you can click on.
Oh yeah.
So I clicked on it. It was all in Japanese, and I couldn't read all of it, so I didn't bother. And it was the Kill Bill song. The guitar riff one, but then down bow, but the dappa down bow, but the damn bow bow.
Oh, Battle Without Honor or Humanity.
Yeah, it was that one. Yeah. So, I mean, it's totally irrelevant, but there you go.
Because that's the theme tune to something else.
Is it?
That's not an original score, yeah. Because there's the film Battle Without Honor of Humanity is a film,
Right.
and that's the theme tune to it. So the music is just called that.
知らなかった.
Repetez-vous, s'il vous plaît?
Yeah, no, you can subtitle it. It just means,
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that.
Ah, okay, yeah. But so that's because the band in that scene as well.
Yeah, that classic.
That's a real band, isn't it? It's called like the 5, 6, 7, 8 or something. Not
Yeah.
the best title for a band. Not gonna lie. If I had a band, I'd call it Duvet. It'd be a cover band.
I knew it. I could see just by your face. I was like,
you could see me thinking of a joke, and I was thinking, I don't know whether to say it or not.
It's just this look of slight, like, kind of guilty pleasure on your face. You're like, if I had a band, and I thought, oh dear, a real stinker is coming.
So, with that little bombshell, let's just jump straight into the next round, which is
Please enlighten me, Mark. What is round 2?
round 2. Is imaginatively titled Who's Hughes in Whose?
Who's Hughes in whose?
Who's Hughes in Whose?
Shoes or Hughes?
Let's get the text up. So I'm going to say the person, you have to say which John Hughes movie I'm referring to. But let me just be clear, it's films he directed. Okay, because he's a very prolific writer, producer, but these are films he directed. He only directed, I think, 8 films, but it's he directed. So, question number 1 is, Macaulay Culkin was in which John Hughes movie that he directed? See, I can see behind your eyes what you're thinking. That's my mutant ability, I can see behind people's eyes. But I know what you're thinking.
It's mostly just dark.
And you're probably wrong. But anyway, question number 2.
Oh.
Simple Minds, the band, did a song that featured in which John Hughes movie? Because they do the dance as well. Number 3. Robert Downey Jr. appeared in this 1985 John Hughes film. Which one's that? I thought you know it, which I'm sure you do.
Yeah, of course. We've discussed my love of that movie before.
Okay, number 4 is Jim Belushi, starred in this one, which I think was his last directing film.
James Belushi.
Yes.
Jim Belushi.
Yeah, Jim Belushi, yeah. Yeah, okay, so not John Belushi. Okay, number 5. True or false, John Hughes wrote the film Beethoven. True or false?
Nice juggling.
That was my true or false. Or true or false.
You were juggling the balls of true and false.
So, should we see how you got on with that one? Because you seem quite confident.
I think I did all right. I've definitely written my answers down neatly.
Okay, answer time. So, this is the answer to Who's Hughes in Whose. Okay, so, number 1. Want to hear your answer on this one. Macaulay Culkin starred in which film John Hughes directed?
Home Alone?
No, that was the trick one, you see. John Hughes wrote Home Alone, he didn't direct it. Chris Columbus directed it, not the explorer, the director.
After he discovered America, he directed Home Alone. Right.
No, the answer is Uncle Buck.
I was just about to say, wait, if it wasn't Home Alone, it's got to be Uncle Buck.
Which was actually
why didn't I think of that before?
Before Home Alone. So he was pretty unknown when he did that, but super cute, right?
Yeah. By the way, do you know Uncle Buck has been made into a terrible TV series, not just once, but twice.
I didn't know that.
Oh man,
With Joe Candy in it, or
No, it's I don't know who the actors was. Honestly, do yourself a favor at some point. I can't remember what year they were. One's like 19 90 something, and the other one is like 2016.
Yeah, didn't know that.
But yeah, so Google like Uncle Buck TV show.
Is it called Uncle Buck?
Yeah. And actually, I tell you what, if I get a chance afterwards, I will come back and edit the thing below the video, and I'll put the links down in the description.
I want to see this.
Once this goes up, yeah.
Over a glass of scotch this evening. Number 2, Simple Minds. The band did a song which featured quite heavily in which John Hughes film?
Feel like I could get sucker punched like this, like I did with Home Alone, but is it The Breakfast Club?
It is The Breakfast Club.
Right. Okay.
With the Don't You Forget About Me. Breakfast Club was an incredible film, wasn't it?
Was indeed. Why didn't they ever do the sequel, The Lunch Club?
Okay, so, but also like Anthony Michael Hall, who was just incredible. He did a film with Uma Thurman and Robert Downey Jr. called Johnny Be Good, which is actually a really good film. So 2 of them went on to become huge stars. Anthony Michael Hall, haven't seen much of him lately. So speaking of Robert Downey Jr., he was in a 1985 film directed by John Hughes. Which film was that?
Weird Science.
It is
Classic.
Weird Science. Yes.
Classic.
Possibly my favourite John Hughes film. I mean, most people go with Ferris Bueller, but...
Oh, no. Weird Science is definitely better than Ferris Bueller.
And, you know, because you love the English language so much, you know the whole I before E except R to C?
Yeah.
That's 2
Isn't
words
it weird?
where that's... Yeah, weird and science.
Yeah. But did you know...
2 exceptions to the rule.
That rule, I before E except after C...
I know what you're going to say.
There are more exceptions to the rule than words that follow the rule.
That's exactly
so
right.
So that is a rubbish rule.
Yes, don't follow that rule. Okay, so number 4, Jim Belushi. Which film was he in?
K9?
No. Yeah, I mean, he was in it, but that's not a John Hughes film.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know what the answer is. So,
no, the answer's Curly Sue.
Ah, right. I never actually saw that one. No, I haven't seen that one.
It wasn't his best one, but it's quite funny. It's him, he's homeless, he meets some young little girl, that sounded weird, some young girl, and they become con artists together. It's quite funny. Right. Number 5, true or false? John Hughes wrote Beethoven.
I know for a fact that he did.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes, because, the answer was true. True,
and
he did.
I remember reading this article about John Hughes, and
but
I
there's
think
potentially a bonus point here.
Oh, really? What's the bonus point?
Go on, finish what you were going to say, because you might answer the question.
Oh, right. So, yeah, the article was just saying about how Home Alone effectively killed John Hughes creatively, because they said, like, up until that point, he had been such an interesting writer. And then he struck gold, like just mega money, with the success of Home Alone. Yeah. And then from that point on, he was never really an interesting writer. He was just aiming for that gold mine of the family-friendly movies. And Beethoven was all right, but he also did some less good films.
The other point I was going to say was he didn't use the name John Hughes.
Oh, didn't he?
When writing. So he wrote... Obviously, you know, loads of films, Weird Science, you know, like say Ferris Bueller, all these things were written by him, Home Alone again. A lot of them weren't directed by him. But he also wrote a lot of films under a pseudonym called Edmond Dantes, I believe. So if you look up Edmond Dantes, he's written Beethoven, its sequels, Drillbit Taylor, if you've seen that, Made in Manhattan, the Jennifer Lopez film. So he wrote those, but he wrote them under a different name.
I didn't know that. I don't think it mentioned that in the article I read. But I remember after reading it, I did go to his IMDb, and I looked up his credits on there, and it like if you look there, it really does seem to be the case, because you have all these good movies, you know, Weird Science, Ferris Bueller, all that kind of stuff, and then it goes Home Alone. I think Curly Sue came after that, and then after that, it's just like Home Alone, the video game.
That's it, yeah.
Beethoven, the video game.
The characters are based on his intellectual property, I suppose, isn't it? And again, like you say, with Beethoven and everything like this, everything that came after it, he gets credit for. So, good for him. But, so, that was the end of that round. Now we go to round 3, which is called Remakes. Really? So, welcome to round 3, which is... Yeah.
I feel like you're slipping a little bit on these names here. Where are the terrible puns? Couldn't, like...
Well, who's Hughes? That was, you know...
That was
again,
okay.
I thought of the title of the round before I thought of the questions.
So I'm guessing that this one is going to be about remakes.
It is about remakes.
So couldn't you have named it something like... Hasta remade ya, baby? Or something like that. Come on, it's not that bad.
Okay, so... What did you say?
Hasta... Instead of Hasta la
remade.
vista, baby, Hasta remade ya, baby.
Okay, so welcome to round 3, which is now called Hasta Remake Ya Baby. Shall we? So, welcome to round 3, which ironically has been remade as
you.
another one. Okay, so all I do is I'm going to list a bunch of films. Okay, 2 of them are not remakes. All of the others are. Okay, this came actually after. Can you remember a couple of weeks ago I did the wedding related ones, and one of the questions was about Father of the Bride, was based on a 1950s Spencer Tracy and Elizabeth Taylor film. So it was remade with obviously Steve Martin, and people have been messaging me saying they were quite surprised. They thought Father of the Bride was an original film. So that inspired me to go, well, there's a lot of others like that people might not know. Okay, so that inspired me. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll maybe put these on the screen because there's quite a few. Okay, the number 1 is the 1983 film Scarface.
Okay.
Remake
How are we
or not?
scoring this? Like, if you correctly identify, is it like...
So there's 2.
So you only get 2 points for naming the 2... Okay, gotcha.
Number 2, the 1986 David Cronenberg film The Fly. Remake or not. Number 3 is the 1988 film with Steve Martin and Michael Caine, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Was that a remake or not? Next one is the fantastic 1996 film The Birdcage. Remake or not. Next, 1997, Face Off. John Woo film. Is that a remake or completely original? Next one is, in 1956, the Alfred Hitchcock film The Man Who Knew Too Much, with James Stewart, again, 2 names. Original or remake? The next one, in 2003, Jim Carrey starred in the film Bruce Almighty. Was that a remake or is it completely original? And the last one, 1991, Martin Scorsese film with Robert De Niro, Cape Fear. Is that a remake or original? Okay, so they should be on the screen there. Scarface, The Fly, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, The Birdcage, Face Off, The Man Who Knew Too Much, Bruce Almighty, Cape Fear. So once again, 2 of them are not remakes. All of the others are. Which 2 are not remakes?
That is a dilly of a pickle, my friend.
So you must know some of them that
I do
are
know
remakes,
some of them.
yeah?
But it's tricky.
So you might be surprised.
Right.
Let's go to the answers, Keith. Okay, so welcome back to the answers for Asta Remake You Baby.
Asta remade your baby, past tense.
Remade You Baby, sorry,
Right.
yeah. This is why I stick to my own ideas, Keith. Right. Okay, so remember what they were: Scarface, The Fly, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, The Birdcage, Face Off, Man Who Knew Too Much, Bruce Almighty, and Cape Fear.
Yeah, so I mean, there's some that I know for sure are remakes.
Okay, which ones are they then?
Well, Scarface is like famously a remake.
Scarface is a remake of a 1932 Howard Hawks film, yeah.
Cape Fear is famously a remake.
Of the 1962 film, yeah, with Robert Mitchum.
What
So
else
we'll
is
take
on
them
the
ones
list?
off.
Right, one
So
that
we've
I
got
think
The
is not a
Fly.
remake.
Yeah.
Bruce Almighty. There's no way that can be a remake.
Ding! Correct. Bruce
Right.
Almighty is not a remake. So
Then
1
it
point
gets
for that
tricky.
one. The other ones, we've got The Fly.
So that's the one. That's the other one that I'd say is probably not a remake, because that film was quite ahead of its time. So, I'm guessing by I'm already wrong.
No, it was actually with Vincent Price in it, because they did a lot of those kind of things, like with Tarantula and all of the sort of, they call them creature features. And The Fly was one of them. The original is actually very scary, but that was remade in 1986 with Jeff Goldblum.
I wasn't expecting that. Which means there's still one more in there that is...
There is. So we've got the 1988 film Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
God, this is getting tough. I don't know about that one.
Okay, that one is also a remake.
It's a remake.
It's actually a remake of a 1964 film called Bedtime Story. Not Bedtime Stories, the Adam Sandler comedy. 1960 films. And it actually starred... Because, in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, it's Michael Caine and Steve Martin. In the original, it was Marlon Brando in a rare comedy role. Yeah. Bedtime Story. When they try and con people, they get together to con. And actually, it's been remade.
I still remember the leg whipping scene.
Yes, yeah, with
Bruce Brett, doesn't feel anything.
And but it's been remade again, called The Hustle in 2019. But this was with female cast, so they've changed it around a little bit. But it actually does say based on Bedtime Story and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels been remade again. So that is a remake. The other one was The Birdcage, the Robin Williams, Gene Hackman film.
Remake. This is a guess. Remake.
It is a remake. It's a remake of a 70s French film called Le Cage aux Follets.
Is that the real... Okay, fair enough.
You speak French, though. Oh, I just spat on my pop shield. You speak French, though, right? So, is that correct?
No, not really.
Le Cage aux Follets. I don't know. No idea what it means.
I'm gonna guess.
But it's a 70s French film, and actually, again, in the credits of The Birdcage, it does say it's a remake of that film. Okay, Face Off.
So I'm gonna place my last betting chip on this one because it was directed by John Woo, and I reckon. So there's Thai directors that have done this as well. Like, for example,
so hang on, are you saying that you think this is a remake or not a remake?
I think it is the remake, because I think John Woo did a Chinese version of it, and then when he went to Hollywood, did an American version of it.
No. That's completely wrong. Your logic is actually pretty sound, though, because John Woo, obviously Chinese director, so he did things, A Better Tomorrow, The Killer, Hardboiled, etc. So he's known for his hardcore action. His three traits are the Doves, Mexican Standoff, and Two Guns at the same time.
He did Mission Impossible 2.
Yes, he did, which actually I really liked. But then, yes.
Self-indulgent.
And Broken Arrow as well. Amazing. Another John Travolta role. But no, Face Off is completely original. It's not a remake of anything. So... that brings us to The Man Who Knew Too Much, 1956, which is a remake. It's a remake of the film The Man Who Knew Too Much from 1934 with Peter Lorre. Fun fact on this one is that the original was a Hitchcock film as well. Hitchcock remade his own film.
He remade his own film?
Yeah. So he did the film The Man Who Knew Too Much in 1934. Then in the 50s...
Was it his first film?
Doris Day. No.
Okay.
He did quite a few before that.
Have you ever heard that saying about authors? That they say authors are always trying to rewrite their first book, essentially.
Yes, yeah. But no, it wasn't. He had done several before that. But yes, he then remade it with James Stewart and Doris Day into The Man Who Knew Too Much. Again, so it's quite rare that it had been remade by its own director, although there are a few people that have done that. Most notably, the guy who did the Japanese The Grudge also remade it in America a few years later with Sarah Michelle Gellar. So you got one of those right, which was Bruce Almighty. The other remake, the other one that's not a remake was Face Off. All of the others were remakes.
Wait. Oh no, wait, okay, yeah. At the end it came down to, there was one more, yeah. I was going to say, if I had actually been crossing them off, I thought I could have got Face Off just by process of elimination.
Yeah,
but
you
actually,
would've
there's
done.
one more. There was a 50-50 at the end there.
Yeah. So, well done. You got one right. But I thought I'd throw in some that might be a bit tricky for you there.
It was tricky.
So, the next one is... Again, now you've got me questioning the titles. This one's just called What's in Between? So, this one is called What's in Between?
Wait. So you mentioned the names. What about the obvious one? The in-betweeners?
Well, I thought about that, but then I thought, I don't want to get a lawsuit from,
Irrelevant?
from
Lawsuits.
Bwak Productions. Okay, so this one's called What's in Between. I've got in front of me a load of film series. Okay, I'm going to name two. You just have to tell me which one came in between those two. Simple enough? You with me so far? Okay, so the first one. In 2001, there was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Okay. In 2004 was The Prisoner of Azkaban. Which film was in between those? There was a Harry Potter in between those. Which one?
It's an easy one for me.
Oh, well, wait till you hear this one then. In 1973, the Dirty Harry film Magnum Force.
I'm already going to say I don't have this
Well,
one.
73, so I thought I'd try and keep it... Okay.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not knowledgeable on
was
Dirty Harry, really.
Magnum Force.
Okay, go for
They
it.
then did another one, and then they did Sudden Impact. What was the one in the middle? The one after Sudden Impact, the last one of the Dirty Harry films, was actually called Deadpool.
Oh, that's the one. I was going to say Jim Carrey was
Yes,
in
he
one of
plays
them.
a dead body.
Yeah, and I believe that was his first ever
Yes,
appearance in the
I
movie.
think it was. I think you're right, yeah. But you'd be a bit annoyed if you ordered Deadpool and you got that. Very different films.
Yeah, very
So
true.
yes, Magnum Force,
Right, next.
Sudden Impact, there was one in between. Okay, I'm sure you'll get this one. 1985, Nightmare on Elm Street, the sequel to Nightmare on Elm Street was Freddy's Revenge, if you remember. Freddy's Revenge. Then they did another one, and the fourth one in 1988 was called Dream Master. What was the third one? So the second one was Freddy's Revenge.
Got this
third
one.
Dream Master. What was the third one? Oh, really?
Yeah, loved this movie as a kid.
Yeah. Okay, and...
Yeah, so I loved those movies as a kid. Which, looking back on it, I feel like I was probably a little bit too young to be allowed to watch those movies. Because I was only like 6 at the time.
But they were great movies. And like we said before, your son loves them as well.
Yeah, classic.
Okay,
does.
so in 1986, there was Police Academy 3, Back in Training. In 1988, they did Police Academy 5, Assignment Miami Beach. But what was in between? What was Police Academy 4?
Pile of rubbish.
It most certainly was not. Although it was the last appearance of Mahoney. He wasn't in any other ones after that. Steve Goldman.
Oh, okay. So Mahoney was still in it. Right, okay.
They did a Police Academy film every year throughout the whole thing. Did you know that? The first one was 1984, second one 1985, 86, 87, 88. Yeah. Police Academy 6 was 1989, so they did one a year. Incredible. Okay, so...
Whatever happened to Motimus Jones?
Oh, yes, he was... Okay, and the last one...
What is question number 5, Mark?
The last one is a Bond one. Now, I know you're not really a Bond fan, are you? But, okay, so there was Diamonds Are Forever. Okay. And then The Man with the Golden Gun. But there was a Bond film in between those.
Okay.
Thoughts? Is that a bit too hard for you, that one?
So, as I've mentioned before, I'm really bad with the Bond names as well. Like, which one is which?
But you know which ones... Right, okay, well, we'll go to the answer. It's Diamonds Are Forever and The Man with the Golden Gun. There was one in
I'm
between.
not a Bond expert.
No.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. Answer time for the last round of the day, which is simply what's in between. So, Keith, you seem quite confident on a couple of them.
Oh yeah, a couple. I know. How many were there in total? 5?
Anything old you didn't quite get, but that's fine. Okay, so number 1 was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. A couple of years later they did Prisoner of Azkaban. Which one came in between those movies?
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. This one is The Chamber of Secrets.
It was The Chamber of Secrets. Well done.
Yeah, by the way,
Yes, I knew you'd get that one.
Did you know, the first one, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, when J.K. Rowling first, finally sold it in America, because she was, she wasn't worried if, this was before it was, a huge success, the publishers over there said they wanted her to change the name because they believed that American kids wouldn't know the word philosopher. And she said her biggest regret about the whole thing is that she
because in America it's...
So do you know what the name is?
It's the Sorcerer's Stone.
So in America it's
Yes.
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
I've actually seen that in America. They called it the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah. And their
so I was
logic
always
at
a bit
the time,
like, is there another one?
Yeah, their logic at the time was American kids don't know what a philosopher is, so we're going to change the name.
But they know what a sorcerer is.
I don't know. Yeah.
Bouncing straight back with a fact for you, Keith.
Right.
The Exorcist, when The Exorcist came out, when they did it, no one knew what an exorcist was.
Oh, really?
It's because of the film.
Oh, interesting.
People knew, yeah, because there was no
Makes
obviously,
sense.
there was the Hammer films. To be fair, The Exorcist pretty much destroyed the Hammer films because no one had ever seen anything that scary before. But no one knew what an exorcist was. When they did all the screen testings, William Friedkin said people didn't know what it was about, and it's. But again, they kind of stuck to their guns and said, well, no, that. You can't call it anything else. But they went through several things, like the demon child, blah, 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 of what they were going to call it. But they stuck with The Exorcist, and now people know what an exorcist is because of the film.
Interesting. And they could have just gone with spinny head puke. But fortunately, they stuck to...
Names isn't your thing, really, is it? The wife and I were watching Daylight the other day.
Right.
You know the Sylvester Stallone film? Right. Have you seen it?
Which one?
With Amy Roman. It's the one where... Oh, God. Okay. So it's the one when they're trapped in the tunnel.
Yeah. Right.
In the tunnel, and they have to get out because, gas and there's water leaking in and all this sort of stuff. And afterwards, the wife said the same thing. She said, why was it called Daylight? And I'm like, because they're trapped underground and they have to try and get to daylight. She was like, why don't they just call it the tunnel? I was like, well, they just called it Daylight. It's better than the tunnel. And she was like, well, why don't they call it Trapped in a Tunnel? And I went, again, terrible title. Then she was like, they could have called it Running Out of Air. And I'm like, and she literally went on for ages. And I was going,
how about we
really
wish we could see some daylight?
Yeah, because she was like, that's a misleading title. And I'm like, so's the tunnel. It sounds like a porn film. Doesn't sound like a porn film at all, does it? Okay, so let's go straight to the second question, which was Dirty Harry films. I know not your cup of tea. Magnum Force in 1973, another one, and in 1983 there was Sudden Impact. But which was the one in between?
How many Dirty Harry movies are there in total?
So there's 5. So there's Dirty Harry. You're gonna get me to say it. So there's Dirty Harry, then there's Magnum Force. This one. Sudden Impact, then Deadpool.
I was hoping I could take a shot in the dark and get it if there were only 3 and I was just... 45 Force.
It sounds like a song by Snow.
Informer?
I thought that would give it away straight away. The answer was Enforcer.
Oh, Enforcer! Enforcer. Right, okay.
But incredible films, Dirty Harry films. Okay, so the one I think you're going to get is the Nightmare on Elm Street one. So Nightmare on Elm Street 2 in 1985 was Freddy's Revenge. Then there was a third one. The fourth one was Dream Master. But what was the third one in between?
Very confident about this one. Dream Warriors.
Was Dream Warriors?
It was quite
yes.
exciting
well
as
done.
a kid because it was like when they finally figured out that they could stand up to Freddy.
Yes, yeah. Stand up to Freddy like he's a bully.
Well, he kind of was.
Don't tell me. Why didn't they just call it the man with knives who picks on kids?
Why didn't they call it, the guy with knives in his gloves and a burned face who scares children?
Knives, did you just say?
Nope. I did not say that. I did not say that.
Okay, so the Police Academy one now. I'm a huge fan of all the Police Academy films. In 1986, Police Academy 3 Back in Training. Then 5 was Assignment Miami Beach. But what was the title of the fourth one?
Sorry, what were the two that's coming in between? It's coming in between.
Okay, so obviously you have Police Academy. Then the second one was called Their First Assignment.
Right.
3 was Back in Training.
Back in Training.
Then there's 4. Then 5 was Assignment Miami Beach. 6 was City Under Siege. Then 7 was Mission to Moscow.
Back in Training again.
No. It was Citizens on Patrol.
Ah. Okay, maybe I have seen
Remember
that one.
when they invite the citizens to become police?
Yeah, that was a classic one. That was an awesome one. Right, yeah. Okay, sorry, yeah.
Assignment Miami Beach I think is probably my favourite.
Yeah.
But yes. So the oh hang on. Yes, so the answer to that was Police Academy for Citizens on Patrol. Here's where I'm going to catch you out though, Keith, with the Bond one. So Diamonds Are Forever. Then The Man with the Golden Gun.
I'm pretty sure the Goldie movies come close together. So Goldfinger.
No, not at all. No, Goldfinger was the third one in 1964.
I'm glad you know that,
Man with the Golden Gun was 10 years later. Yeah, and then GoldenEye. Got GoldenEye.
GoldenEye is
but that
way
was
later.
a lot later. Yeah. Well, this one's an interesting one as well because it was Sean Connery was in Diamonds Are Forever in 1971. Then the Bond actor changed
To Roger Moore.
to Roger Moore for this one,
See, half a point there.
and then it was The Man with the Golden Gun. Definitely not. Everyone knows Roger Moore came after that. The answer was Live and Let Die.
The old Paul McCartney song. Live and Let Die.
Dun, dun. But then of course Sean Connery came back a few years later to reprise his role.
Yeah, I know that. I wasn't surprised.
Do you remember The Man with the Golden Gun? You know, with the little guy, Knick Knack.
Yep.
Christopher Lee, and they have the at the end. Doesn't matter.
I know. Yeah, I know all about that one. Is that the one where he goes scuba diving with the sharks?
I mean, he scuba dives in most of them, doesn't he? He scuba dives in Doctor No when he meets. Oh no, you're thinking of Thunderball. Thunderball is way earlier. That was the one that came just after Goldfinger, obviously. So that was a way early one. Yeah, and he's a scuba diver, isn't he? And he's gets attacked by the scuba divers. Sharks are there. Good film. Good film. Did I tell you about last year sometime? I was very drunk in a bar in London, a bar called Dirty Dick's, just near Liverpool Street, if you know it. And I was very drunk, talking to a guy at the bar, and didn't know the guy, just having a pint with him.
Does your wife know about this?
By the way, yes, I wasn't just in a bar chatting to a strange man in a bar called Dirty Dick's, no. By the way, I just want to reiterate, it was very loud where I was, okay? Really loud, and I was very drunk. And I said to the guy, I said, what do you do for a living? And he said, I'm a scuba diver. I was like, no way! And he was like, pays the bills, and I'm like, hey, come on man, don't undersell it. That's incredible. I was talking to him for ages about how I'd love to do that job. It's really cool, really exciting. Turns out he didn't say scuba diver, he said Uber driver. So I was embarrassed. I just put my pint down and left, right? And then ironically got an Uber home. Right. But the funny thing is, like, I kept thinking, imagine it from his point of view.
Yeah.
Like someone says, what do you do for a living? And he went, I'm an Uber driver.
Oh my God.
And I stood there and I was going, whoa, where do you go? And he went, wherever I need to. And I'm like, hey, is it dangerous? And he was like, not at all. And I'm like, is there a lot of training involved? And he was like, no. And I'm like, what? So, yeah, okay, well, let's just... I haven't been back to that bar since. I'm just terrified in case I see him. And he's like, guys, that's the guy who was like obsessed with Uber drivers. So, anyway, that brings us to the end of the round, which is, sadly, the end of the quiz.
Right, okay.
Well, we'll let these people go and get on with the rest of their lives. Thank you, everybody, for watching. It's been lovely having you here. Please tune in next week for another gripping adventure of Lights, Camera, Quiz.